Hello, this is Mike Graen. I'm your host for the on-shelf availability with the Supply Chain Management Research Council. We had a podcast about a month ago, I think it was episode number 14, where we actually talked to the leading shelf scanning robot technology providers. We had Badger Technologies, we had Brain Technologies, we had Symbi, and we had Zippity Robotics. I got a lot of feedback about that, about how helpful that was for people to understand that, but they wanted to go a little bit deeper. They wanted to talk a little bit about how do these robots actually work in store and what exactly does it result in for the retailer and the brand owner. So today I'm joined by BJ Santiago of the Badger Corporation, and we're going to go a little bit deeper. So hello, greetings. This is Mike Graen. I have the pleasure of spending time with BJ Santiago from the Badger Corporation. BJ, I took some liberties to look at your bio on LinkedIn, and man, you've had a lot of cool opportunities in your career. A lot of them seem to be like in retail technology, sales and service. I saw Optio, Lexmark, and Telenetics. Is that how you said that one? Telenetics?
Yeah, and Telenetics, they were a records management organization for government agencies.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And that's led you all the way up to the point you are now, which is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of the Badger Corporation. We're going to spend the entire time talking about what exactly does what is a Badger robot? How does it work? How does it help retailers and brand owners? But before you do, I got a couple of setup questions. And the first one, you probably didn't know this, but you've posted on your LinkedIn profile a quote by Drucker. If you want something new, you have to stop doing something old. Pretty profound, and I'm sure that means something to you. I'd love to get your perspective on why is that important to you? Why would you put it on your LinkedIn profile, and what does it mean to you?
No, it's funny you saw that. A lot of people will just look over that. Basically what it's saying there, Mike, is you've got to and I'll use Badger as an example. We had a great meeting the other day, and we've got some seasoned veterans that are just super smart, but they've been here a while, and we've got some younger generational engineers that are super smart. And they were tasked to figure something out, and the same guys were trying to figure it out, and they weren't asking for the younger people's opinion. And I just stopped them and I said, listen, you guys have been doing this a long time together, and it's the same group trying to figure out very similar problems. You've got to think out of the box, and you have to look at other people to get some insight and answers. And really, if you keep on using the same knowledge to do the same things over and over again, or face the same challenges, you're never going to get it to the next level. So I said, trust on the younger generation we have to work, trust on other experts, trust on other people to help you grow as a person professionally and personally. And really, that's what that means. It just means that if you're expecting to do the same old things all the time and wait for new results, it's just not going to happen.
The whole definition of insanity thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that wisdom probably goes way beyond just the idea of shelf scanning robots, but that's very profound. I think we all sort of get in the same treadmill and get on the same thing and expect different results, and I think that's really good wisdom. So.
Oh, thanks for noticing that.
Yeah.
But if we can stop now, we're great, Mike.
Now we got to keep going. I got some more questions for you. So one of the things that I always like to ask our podcast guests, because at the end of the day, I'm spending a lot of my focus, basically my entire focus, on-shelf availability, making sure products are in stock, making sure it's available for both the customer who shops in a brick and mortar store, as well as they buy it online and they have a picking service pick the product for them. But before we get into the solutions that address that, one of the things I like to ask is, we're all also customers. We go buy groceries, we buy product at mass merchandisers and the club channel and the dollar channel and the food drug channel and all that kind of stuff. So before we get into this particular topic, I'm interested in any potential stories you have about when you as a customer wanted to get something, went into a local store. You don't have to name the store. We don't need to throw the store under the bus, but just your experience as a customer or a shopper and how that particular experience made you feel.
Well, it's funny. You must have been chatting with my wife, because the local store owner of one of the grocery stores we go to here locally by my neighborhood. Him and I have a close relationship now. At first, he didn't know what I did for a living, but don't laugh. But I love spaghetti and white clam sauce.
Okay,
Specifically, I love Progresso white clam sauce. So I'll give them a little shout out.
cool.
And every time I'd go into the store, I'd look at their mobile app and I'd be like, okay, the product is not there. Okay. It's never here. It's never in stock where it is. And I'd walk around to a few other aisles guessing, and it would be over there. And then my wife would order it online, we'd get the alternative. So it was driving me crazy. So one day I went into the store and I said, can I speak to the day manager? And we met each other, and I told him what we did, and we had a few laughs, and I told him what Badger did. But now, believe it or not, that Progresso clam sauce is always in the right place, Mike.
So we don't need retail technology. We just need every single customer to stop somebody in the store and go, why is it so hard to keep this in stock? I really like this product. I don't think that's sustainable and systemic, but it's pretty interesting way to do it. All right. Well, you and I had an opportunity a few weeks back, I guess it's been about a month or so now, to spend some time on the shelf scanning robot. And we had some other folks on the line as well. But I got some feedback from folks who watched that podcast. They wanted to go a little bit deeper on a couple of the topics. So one of the things that I did is basically kind of think about, okay, what exactly is it? So let's start with the basics. Exactly what is Badger Technologies, and specifically, what in the world have you created with a shelf scanning robot? Tell me about that.
Sure. Simply put, Badger is a global autonomous solutions company, and autonomous means we use, driverless type technologies and robotics, combined with artificial intelligence and machine learning, which we can then convert data and metrics and insights into not only the retailers we serve, but also adjacent marketplaces. And what we try to do at Badger is be device inclusive, because we understand we'll lead with our robotics, but we also have to deal with other companies' technologies, such as like fixed cameras and things. So we try to be device inclusive, which, using our technologies and maybe some existing technologies, we help our customers lower their operational costs and ultimately increase their profits by getting more product on the shelf more frequently, which then ultimately lets them drive their customer experience to higher levels, because the customers are there to find what they like. And by using the Badger technologies as an inventory system to alert them on when things are not in the store, it enhances the end user's customer experience. And we do this through a hybrid model we bring to market, which is the robots, and also we have a best-in-class analytic platform for the markets that we serve.
So let's go all the way back to the first question that I asked you. So you as a customer got frustrated because that pasta sauce was not in the store. If that particular store would have had a Badger shelf scanning robot, how would they have gotten alerted that there was an issue?
They would have gotten alerted through what our partners do is they'll do several scheduled scans with the robot a day. They typically start with a very early morning scan when the store is relatively in pristine conditions from the night before of filling the shelves. So they'll run an early morning scan. They would have gone down that spaghetti pasta aisle, evaluating the products on the shelves, the price tags, and so forth. And it would have noticed that particular brand of spaghetti sauce was not on the shelf. Either there was a gap or it wasn't in the right location. The robot would take an image of that. It would identify that. It would read the price tag and the barcode, looking for the item in the SKU, and knowing that that product was not there, it would then take that information, load it onto our portal site, which the store operation can use, or it would send the information via API to the store system, and just alert them in the way that both parties want to communicate that item is currently out of stock. As soon as the robot is done with that aisle run, 15 to 20 minutes after it's completed an aisle, it's updating the store operations with this kind of information, which then allows the store to, one, know that the item is not on shelf, but also, if they wish to, they can replenish it much sooner, make sure the product's there for the afternoon rush or the evening rush, and so on.
Wow. So you're saying it's actually going down every single aisle, looking at every single shelf tag and determining if there's a shelf tag there and there's no product there, that's an out. They're also looking at that shelf tag, and if a product is there but it doesn't look like the product that it should be, it's a incorrect product. And it's also catching pricing and discrepancies. Now, there's thousands of items in an aisle, right? So you're saying that this thing is autonomously doing this and then providing that information real time back to the store, relatively real time, within 15 minutes, so they can take action on what it found.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct. And where the robot has an advantage over a human, and we've done several audits with, the customers that have chosen our solution is, you know, you'll hear the term spread and plug, and that's when items are across the shelf and they may be over the price tag and it looks very neat and it looks like all the items are there. The robot can also detect, as you said, the incorrect product. So it can go down, and if an associate has put all, Coke over Pepsi's price tag, but it looks very neat, the associate scanning the inventory on a scan gun typically walks right past that and assumes everything's in stock. The robot can identify that, like, from what you just said, by reading the price tag and understanding the visual of it. And it still reports that those items aren't there. So we've had, the robot go down a few aisles, and then a person from that same store go down the same aisles right after the robot, and it'll blow your mind on how much more accurate the robots are just from the humans.
Yeah, I would imagine that scanning a shelf and scanning a product and scanning the next label that would get pretty monotonous after a while. I would think that would get very, as a matter of fact, if you know that you're in the aisle doing that, I would imagine if you're in the middle of doing it, you're probably going to get interrupted by a customer, which is a good thing. You solve their problem, you go back and go, I forgot where I was.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, it's just human nature. It's hard to do and hard to keep that focus for that long of time. And there's just so much, SKUs and information on those shelves.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, we're seeing robots everywhere, and adoption seems to be expanding on this. I mean, I think we probably already know the answer to this question, but why do you see adoption expanding as rapidly as it is?
Well, Mike, there's several reasons for, the adoption taking place. It's not only the technology, but first and foremost, right now, the adoption rate is happening faster than usual due to the lack of labor. There's a big labor shortage in the retail environment today. The sheer point that they can't get people to come to work or having a difficulty to do so is one of the major problems why the adoption rate has grown so quickly over the last 2 years post-COVID or during this pandemic stage. But also it's there's great ROI associated with it as companies look at the hourly wages going up to $15 an hour in many of the states around the country. Some of these companies are predicated on an $8 to $12 an hour model, and then so they're struggling with how can we reduce costs but yet maintain the on-shelf conditions in the store, and the robot becomes a very strong economic reason to do so. And so there's just a lot of good reasons. And what we're also seeing is the smaller independent grocers. So the tier one grocers, you would think automatically would go to robotics. They can afford it. But the independent grocer, the family grocer from 10 locations up to maybe 100 locations, over the last 2 years, they've adopted the robot technology. And we have several new customers that have sub 50 locations that are using our robots today. It's just more economically sound for them to do so.
Wow. Well, that sort of answers another question that I'm sure that people have asked me before, which is, aren't these robots taking away jobs from people? And to a certain degree, the answer is they're taking away tasks from people. Yes, not taking away jobs. Last time I checked, your robot doesn't have an arm, so it can't necessarily respond to an alert and put a product back on the shelf. But just the mundane process of sitting there scanning the shelves and generating alerts, which is fairly monotonous, and it's probably not the most exciting job in the world. I'd rather just respond to the alerts because that's something I feel I can add value to. So that's the answer that I would probably give for folks like that. So,
yeah.
So go ahead.
Right. No. I was just going to say, yeah. And believe it or not, the feedback we're getting from in-store associates when the robot's in the store has actually been very positive. These are, like you said, mundane, tedious tasks they don't like to do.
Right.
So they're very happy. And then, we'll get customers that have asked me when I've been in stores, oh, is the robot taking a job? And quite frankly, to your point, I'll say, no, they're not. And what they're doing is allowing you to have your favorite product on the shelf more frequently. And this one gentleman said to me, so you're telling me that this robot will help me get the Fritos on the shelf more frequently? And I said, yep. And he said, okay, I'm all for it then.
That's awesome. Well, I want to transition a little bit into the future, because obviously it's making a meaningful difference in the retailers that are using it. But I also feel like these particular robots are multi-purpose robots. They're not just cell scanning. They're doing other things, or potentially are going to be doing other things as well. So you actually invest, if you're a retailer, in one device that can perform many functions for you. So what do you think that the future of the shelf scanning robots in the stores is going to look like?
I think the future is extremely strong. I think that as the technology matures, the digital imaging technology matures, we're going to see just a higher growth path for the robots. We do an all-in-one, 3-in-1 robot ourselves. Our robots not only do the shelf scanning and inventory control from the things we talked about, but we also, that same robot, in between its tasks of evaluating shelf conditions, is going around the store checking for hazards. And it's a hazard mitigation application called Inspect on that same robot. We'll go around the store and look for slip and fall debris to help the safety of the store. And when it finds anything that might be dangerous, it'll post up next to it like a safety cone, and then alerts through a task management system over the PA system that there's a debris on the floor that needs to be attended to. So that's another application along with the inventory. And that same robot also has a security feature to it where it can do augmentation for security walks in the back of the stores or the distribution centers, checking on refrigeration doors and pallets and things like that, that typically some of the larger grocers have very strict security path walks that they do in the back of the store. This is just another thing the robot can do to help them, to allow the associates to free up their time to help customers do more customer facing activities.
So if in the middle of the night while people are stocking the store, the robot can go around to all of the exit doors, it can actually detect whether those exit doors are open or closed or locked, or is there somebody behind the scenes kind of looking at that? How does that work?
Yeah, the robot will. It's got artificial intelligence and machine learning where it understands what a door or fire extinguisher or defibrillator or anything looks like, and it'll report if that door's open or that window's open or something's not right. And then we also have a second tier human verification that the robot can actually say, "Hey, I'm confused," and it'll be sent to a human for second tier verification. So we make sure we cover both things. When the robot from an artificial intelligence may be confused on what it sees, we have a secondary part in there where a human can look at it. So we make sure that the robot's completely doing what it needs to do.
Wow, that's awesome. So just practically, if I'm a customer and I see a robot in the store, I've gotten this questions while I've been in the store. You sort of go, how does it navigate, and should I watch out so it doesn't run into me, and all those other kinds of things? How does it navigate a store, first off, and then secondly, how does it handle obstructions of things that are not supposed to be there or are supposed to be there, to make sure it doesn't have any kind of accidents?
Sure, great question. So let me take a step back on that, on your first question, and just talk about how we set a store up for the navigation. When a store partners with us and identifies a location or multiple locations, what we do is we take a field technician and we send him into a store with a LiDAR navigation system. And LiDAR stands for the light detection and ranging. It's a navigation system that uses a laser scanner and GPS all in one. That technician takes a handheld LiDAR device, puts it on a tripod in the shopping cart, and walks around the store for about an hour and captures, literally in about an 85,000 square foot store, a complete 3D map of every inch of the store. We then clean that map up and program it back into the robot in a 2D fashion. two-dimensional. And that's how the robot understands and learns in the first phase of the navigation that it has to follow within a store. Then we go, and once that's done, we do what we call a base scan, and we test the navigation of the store. We also test what the robot's seeing on the shelves, and all that together is called a base scan. And we do that for 1 or 2 days. And then that enables and tests the robot that the navigation is ready. So that's what we do to set the store up. But it's a very short process and very non-intrusive. We then, from a navigation perspective, the robot can tell through both hardware sensors and software sensors. It can detect a solid object versus a human. And it also has safety cone sensors and imaging cameras that it can detect a human up to 9 feet away, or an object up to 9 feet away, and know where it's supposed to go or stay away from. So if it sees a human 9 feet away, it alerts itself and says, okay, there's somebody there. And if a human gets within 3 feet of the robot, it completely stops from a safety perspective, and then allows the person to, do its thing and then get out of the way. Once that person gets out of the way, the robot continues on its path, or what we call a play. And the robot is programmed with several plays to conduct several tasks throughout the day, different times a day, and it uses this whole LiDAR navigation to do so.
Wow, fascinating. So the practical reality is a robot's never going to run into something or somebody.
No, not yet. We've had a knock on wood. We've done over, in our current client base, we've done over 1.3 million miles on the robot, and the robot has never run into anyone yet. So we can knock on wood on that. So wow. It's a great technology and very, very safe.
Awesome. Terrific. So tell me about how it's being monitored. Somebody watching this thing, is it's navigating through a store, or is it just kind of autonomously doing that and sending data back?
Yeah, so we have it's monitored by Badger 24/7 worldwide. So give you a range of magnitude, Mike. We have customers in Australia, New Zealand, Portugal, France, Israel, and many states here in the U.S. So this all those robots are monitored out of one system called Skybox. It's a fleet management system in our headquarters. It monitors the robot 24/7, and it also monitors each robot's heartbeat every 10 seconds. And the way the robot is programmed through its software, that fleet management system not only can monitor the robot's movements, but it can diagnose it. And over 90% of the issues in the field can be corrected right from the Skybox. And we have employees that work around the clock just monitoring if there's any alerts that something's wrong with the robot. They'll evaluate it on the screen, and then the robot is corrected. But 90% of it can be done remotely worldwide to get the robot back on track if there's ever an issue.
Wow. Awesome. All right. So real practically, I am an employee in a store that I'm seeing a Badger robot. I get those alerts. How do I get those alerts, and how do I actually execute/fix those alerts inside the store?
Yeah, so the alerting can be done several different ways. All of our clients have the ability to use the Badger portal.
Okay.
And within that portal, we will show each aisle that the robot runs, and they'll have a visual of any discrepancies it sees from out of stock, wrong pricing, wrong item. And what that portal can do is it can allow you to download a task list if you wish, or that task list can also be alerted through an API to a grocer's primary system if they choose to do that, and then they want to run the reports out of their own task management system and dispatch the associates. But the alerts can be done different way. They can be done via the portal system. An alert can be sent to a text of one of the workers' phones, SMS. There's different ways. It could be over the PA system. So we work it out with the client based on their operational needs and the way they run their processes for those alerts to get to their smart devices or some kind of system in the way that they need today.
Okay, awesome. Well, is certainly the people who benefit are the retailers, because they get to have insights about whether they have product on the shelf for the customers or not. The other obvious, people that get benefit are the customers, because the stuff is there on the shelf much more frequently than if it's sitting in the back room someplace. Who else benefits from this particular technology?
Oh, wow. Well, we've been asked beyond the retail, but in the same ecosystem, the CPGs, now known as FMCGs, are very interested in this kind of information because they too want to know information on their shelf conditions. So we've had interest from those kind of organizations to get the same information a retailer does to make sure their items are in the right place and are in stock. There's also other data aggregator organizations out there like, IRIs and Nielsen's, and they're people that could benefit from more frequent information today. Those kind of organizations that do predictive and prescriptive analytics do it off of system-driven information, point of sale data that might be driven at the end of the day, allowing them to make judgment on things in the future. They can get more information from a robotics company like Badger more frequently throughout the day, which they wouldn't get today. There's also, different larger CPGs like the Pepsis and Cokes that have logistics and DSD type of organizations that are working in the store 2 or 3 times a day. They can use this kind of technology. So it's really addressing the whole ecosystem of people and suppliers that are not only delivering stuff to the stores, but both of them are very concerned in making sure that the shelf conditions have the right products at the right time.
Wow, man, fantastic, BJ. So one of my favorite questions, which I always ask at the end of these podcasts, are what question did I not ask that I should have? What's kind of on your mind, or what you've heard from customers or retailers or anybody that I should have asked but I didn't? And then of course, what's the answer to that question?
I'll start off with a whimsical one. There will be robots that put stuff back on the shelves today. We don't do that, but I've seen some technologies that robots stocking shelves. But I think all in all, there's beyond just price tags and things of that nature. There's also different types of tags in stores that need to be analyzed, such as RFID tags, and a lot of the big grocers with the apparel part of their business need that stuff evaluated as well. Badger brings that offering to the table too. So we are testing right now and getting ready to release our first pilot program with the RFID capabilities. So
congratulations, that's great.
I mentioned a little bit, Mike, about our hazard detection and the security aspect of it. So I think you covered almost everything. There's not really much that you didn't ask, but robots are here to stay. I believe that they're going to be a very important part. But again, at the end of the day, it's about the customer and having a great experience.
Great. Well, if people want to find out more information about Badger and some of the things that you can do, who would you like me to have them contact?
You can have them contact, I'm a very personable person. They can contact myself at William_Santiago at Jabil.com. People might say, what's the Jabil? Well, Jabil is our parent company out of St. Petersburg, Florida. They're a $30 billion contract manufacturer that have a big retail practice. Badger is a product company under them. Or Mark Shake, then that's Mark_Shake at Jabil.com. Also, you could go to our website, Badger-Technologies and .com, and then do a web inquiry there, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours as well. So
awesome. Well, BJ, I want to thank you on behalf of our audience. We did have a number of folks after the last one on shelf scanning robots reach out. These are some of the questions that they provided, and I thought you did a great job of answering them. Thank you so much for all you're doing for the retail tech world and helping us figure out how to get more product on the shelf for our customers, and being a very, very important part of that.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for having us. And it's always a pleasure talking with you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks, buddy.
I hope you enjoyed that podcast regarding the Badger robot and its capability for shelf scanning, floor cleaning, and lots of good things that are coming forward with the Badger Corporation. Another tool in the toolbox to help drive on-shelf availability. Next podcast, I'm really excited. We are going to get behind the scenes of the Walmart implementation of RFID, the business drivers behind it, the motivation by merchandising to get the on-hands right. We are joined by several key leaders. Andy Murray, who is the former CEO of Saatchi & Saatchi, spent quite a bit of time in the marketing area at Walmart, including being the CMO from the Asda Corporation. He'll be joining us to get us a customer perspective of why on-hand accuracy is so important using RFID. We're also going to get a chance to talk with the retired Senior Vice President of Apparel, Deanna Baker, who basically led the business drivers behind implementing RFID at Walmart for apparel. We're also joined by Dr. Bill Hargrave, who is the president of the University of Memphis. He is an expert on omnichannel and will speak a lot to the buy online, pick up in store, and a new term, research online, pick up in store. And last but not least, Justin Patton, who's the director of the Auburn RFID Lab, will be here to talk about some of the ways that retailers can get started. Look forward to seeing you then.